It has been 4 years since the first Paris Accord has been signed and have come to an effect to battle off global climate change by controlling greenhouse gas emissions. 4 years was enough time to mankind to build AI, invent foldable smartphones, and a random college student to get a degree. However, sadly, it seems it was not enough for mankind to battle off or improve the current increasing global temperature. In fact, situations seemed only to be worsened than improving at all. According to the report a month ago by The Guardian, polar ice caps are melting 6 times faster than they were in the 1990s, which are greatly increasing sea levels that are threatening some countries for a permanent sink in the very near future. Additionally, Australian government have confirmed that the recent fire that burned 50,000 kilometers of the continent for 6 months were also intensified by global climate change. There are many other natural disasters as well that are currently being blamed by climate change that cannot be listed in this video at all. I believe that the collective passive approach on carbon emission control done by the world's government was the cause for the current dire situation. And because of this, the US must go through a carbon taxing reform that centers on a strong carbon taxing system on all states. Only a few countries like Finland is doing rigorous carbon taxing while the majority of the nations over the world, including the US and China, are following a cap and trade system. This is because countries fear the regressive nature of carbon taxing that can be done by issuing a carbon taxing system. Unlike the cap and trade system that have a certain hold that a company must follow unless they will get taxed, carbon taxing usually issues taxes on each carbon emission. So the reason why countries chose cap and trade system was to reduce the overall cost and save the poor and the economy from too much prices of carbon tax. However, cap and trade system is focused on the companies and their emission, which has the initial focus all wrong for reducing the total carbon emission on the US. Unlike the common belief, the statisticians of the EPA have claimed the transportation is the number one contributor of the US carbon emissions by having 28.2% than the common belief of company-owned factories being the number one contributors. And even if factories are the number one contributor, the current cap and trade system is useless since only a small handful of states are implementing it. The mathematical data given by the EIA, US Energy Information Administration, have reported the United States alone have emitted approximately 37 billion metric tons of carbon, while only 11 states, California and 10 other northern eastern states are implementing the cap and trade system. Comparing these 11 states with the top 10 list given by the ERA Development for having the most manufacturers in the US, none of the 11 states are matching. Any state can be listed as manufacturing-focused industries or taxing zero taxes for carbon. Then are we at least doing correctly for the 11 states that are issuing carbon taxes and by cap and trade system? Not really. Unlike the targeted $75 per metric tons price that the IMF has longly pushed, the highest amount of carbon tax done in the US was $50 by metric ton by California, and while other northeastern states have only done averagely $5 per metric tons. Strong carbon taxing is the only solution for the US and the world for now. According to the Worldometer, countries that are issuing strong carbon taxing have low global share of carbon in average. Recalling Finland was the first to implement carbon tax and they only have 0.14% of global share of carbon emissions. And while the US is in the top 3 ranking, this is something that we must be concerned of. Additionally, the regressive effects can be easily battled off by economic decisions of a government. Government grants can be provided by these carbon taxes that are issued on companies that are developing on bioenergies that have lower carbon producing than the fossil fueled focused industries. And they could also provide benefits to companies that are willing to reduce their carbon cost, or to the poor that are getting taxed with the tax they have collected, which can all be have a collective result of reducing regressive effects on the United States economy. Thus, there is no reason to be feared of the regressive carbon taxing as the common belief, since it can have a higher efficiency on individual control and a better result on carbon production on United States.